Hi everyone. Today I would really like to show you a very efficient new workflow for using NAT to edit some of your existing templated graphic assets, where you will find that you only actually need to change a very small piece of specific information to get the job done. You just need to swap out, I don't know, a bit of text here, an image there, and so on, and how to do all of this automatically without having to constantly bother your assistant designer or anyone else with it. That's why I chose to demonstrate this with the creation of business cards, specifically digital business cards for members of the Me School community, which look like this. Here you can see two images where I have the template for the business card. Here I have some fields that I want to change, which are the name here, the position here, email contact, social media contact, and also this field for the selected social network. Yes, it's basically the same principle as a company business card, where you have the company logo, the design of the card, which always looks the same, but you just want to put in a new person's name and their contact information, possibly their job position and so on. But in the end, you really only want to change a few parts of the business card. So all of this can be connected, for example, to your own database, where you can have a rule for adding a new row so that it triggers automatically. I have it set up through a form that I created specifically for this purpose. I inserted here basically just a few fields that I want the user to fill out for me. And these are the fields that will change. Here it's the name or nickname. Here it's the email we want on the business card. And here it's the type of social platform, which I set as a drop down so users can't just type anything, but instead have three options: Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Here is the element type. You can switch, for example, to a checkbox. You can add a date, drop down, email, and so on. I recommend exploring how to create these forms. So here is the contact for the social platform. The last thing I added here is the subscription email, which I want from the user for pairing purposes in my own database, so I know whether it's a member of my community and whether the business card should be created for them or not. So the form then looks this simple. All right, then I will go ahead and quickly fill this out for you. All right, then I am going to go ahead and enter some sample test data right here. All right, as you can see here. You can see that on the template we had Facebook, so let's use Instagram. Now you can see that it can even change the graphic element. All right, we filled everything in and let's send it. Yep, you can see that it was sent here. So that's it in test mode. Now, because I want to verify and confirm whether or not I already have this user stored within my database, or rather whether they are currently an active community subscriber, I will search for a specific row in this table here, specifically with the condition of this subscription email to see if I have it there or not. If the record is empty, it would fall into false and nothing would happen. This record was found because I have this test email there, so we can continue. So what do we need now? Now we need to take this template of the first business card, right? Find it on our Google Drive, for example. I use Google Drive for most of these things. So, and simply download it. Yeah, it downloads here as the data. That is right. When we, once we open this file up right here, we can clearly see it's the exact correct template that we want to have there. So after that, we'll use Gemini mode. After that, we'll use the Gemini node on edit image, and we'll enter a really simple prompt there saying we want to edit this image. Here, I specify that it's an ID card. And what exactly should be changed on our image? Here we have actually a placeholder for the name, and there we'll dynamically insert whatever the user entered in the form. Here is the job position, which I'm changing from founder to member. Here we have the email change that the user entered for us. So here is the contact for the social platform, again, whatever the user entered here. Yeah, you can see that it's being reflected here. And here comes the important step, changing the icon. The Facebook logo, because as you can see, we have the Facebook logo here, but we want to change it to what the user selected, which is Instagram. So we don't want to work with just some external URL, a static image, or other remote resources. Instead, we have the actual data right here that we have downloaded. It takes a little while. Gemini still needs to process it, but you'll see that the changes will go through beautifully. We'll then compare it today with the template. If we take a look, I'll copy the address of that image. And when we look at it, we can see that the name has been changed and the position has been changed. The email contact has been changed and the social platform contact has been changed as well. You can see that here from Facebook, it has become Instagram. Great, this all went through beautifully. What do we need to do with it now? Because we still don't actually have the file physically unless we download it, which is what we want to do. So we'll upload it to Google Drive. And because I'll be personally sending this document to the user via an electronic email message immediately after we finish here, I'll carefully modify the access permissions so that the file is properly shared with them. Great, I have this part done, and now I'll do the same with this second business card. So again, I'll download the file. I'll check to make sure it's the right one. It is the right one. And with exactly the same prompt, because this business card is exactly the same. It's basically the same thing, just with a different visualization. So I'll change the same information. Now let's take a closer look at exactly how it was recently updated. All right, we'll let it process. It takes a little while. Great, yeah. And again, let's look at the image. We can see how it was changed. Here we have Instagram. Once again, let's now upload it. We'll set the permissions. Then I write down these WebView links connect directly to each of the individual files. So I can see in real time whether users have had it done, exactly who has finished it, and so on. I actually recommend here when you're uploading a file, if you want to work with those files further, definitely save those WebView links. And if you're working with it as part of some automation, then also save the web content link directly to the export of the file. We use that, for example, for auto posting to social networks. So I recommend saving these two links for those automatically generated files. And the last step of this flow is that we take this predefined email, which we send to the user. In the same way, you can send it, for example, to an assistant for review. You can imagine that you onboard a new employee, have them fill out this template, send it to the assistant, and the assistant checks if everything is correct. If so, they can, for example, send it to print and so on. So yes, it gets sent directly to the specific email address that the user originally entered as their subscription email. We send it out immediately. We can see quite clearly that it was sent successfully. And then we carefully check the inbox of that email account to confirm that it has actually arrived as expected. Yes, let's open it up. We can see that everything went through, the email arrived, and we can download the business cards. That was a great simple workflow for creating these various templated graphic materials where you might frequently need to change specific bits of information to suit your needs. I myself use a similar flow now for creating cards for my card game, where I also have a graphic template and I need to have an illustration and some other specific details in it. I don't want to be clicking through this in Canva or Photoshop. It would take hours, maybe even dozens of hours, because there are hundreds of cards. When I send 10 to 20 cards at a time for editing like this, I can look at them and check them over. And then I send another batch. I can just do it in my spare moments. I don't need to set aside any big blocks of time for it, and it's great. Great. All right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.